Yes, they did. They had 3 in the family. That's a magic number.
Now I gotta go. Man, all right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Slow News Day Morning Edition. My name is Steve-Poikonen, and I am kicking it here, middle of California. We got a lot to talk about today. We had a wonderful conversation with Addie Ads yesterday, who has been on the ground in front of the courthouse covering the Maxwell trial. Had a surprise impromptu drop-in visit from our friend Brian Christian from The Last American Vagabond. You missed that show yesterday, please do go back and pull up for it. But as a result, didn't get to do much news, so I got a full complement of shit fuckery to talk about.
No.
A bunch of clips for you guys. Probably gonna yell at the dog a lot. Fucking puppies. Let's run through the business real quick. The show's sponsored by Matrix Bars. Matrix Bars do a psilocybin mushroom product, which is absolutely delicious, good for micro or macro dosing for yummy flavors. I have not been able to get in communication with these guys in a few days, so I don't know. Hopefully they're fine. It's a great market product, though. You don't know. Let's see. In the meantime, I'm going to be launching the new GoFundMe. The one for the past month is still up, despite all rumors and evidence. If you can, throw a couple of bucks at it. If not, please do share the links. Also have the PayPal, Cashapp, Venmo, the Buy Me a Coffee for Sleepy Josh, buymeacoffee.com/Bort, B-O-R-T. We have kick-ass t-shirts, and you should you should get several. It's about that time of year. You can find those at Truth Revolution Clothing, truthclothing.io. We are in the partners section. I'm going to be going on Lift the Veil with Nathan Stoppelman next week. Oh my God, you guys. Did you, if you're not, this is why Rockfin Premium is good for a lot of people, because you get to see the live episode as it premieres of arguably the most incredible podcast in human history in terms of rapid rising through the ranks and the shit I don't pay attention to, but should, because I'm trying to eat off of this. Union of the Unwanted is kicking ass at 39 episodes. It had like a little over 500,000 downloads. And we had Dr. Peter McCullough on last night on the heels of his groundbreaking, earth-shattering, the branch COVIDians are big mad at him and Joe Rogan today interview.
Branch COVIDians. That's good.
Yeah. I've also seen Brunch COVIDian, which I
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Brunch COVIDian about made me fall off my fucking chair.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have too much I can talk about on the YouTubes today. So let me do what I can. It should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody with, eyeballs or ears or the ability to retain information that Israel is a bloodthirsty war machine. And they have been saber rattling ever since they found out that Naftali Bennett was going to be the prime minister. It was a few days ago. As the U.S. is changing the nature of its military presence in Iraq, the U.S.-led global anti-ISIS coalition is shifting focus to the African continent. This is not the story I meant to do, but this is a good one anyway. Yeah, it's the other story I have in here. Okay, so the State Department said the Africa Focus Group will enable the coalition to undertake civilian capacity building programs to help address the ISIS threat across Africa that the U.S. created. and to synchronize those efforts with existing initiatives on the ground. the military industrial complex takeover of the land in Africa, the stuff that China isn't, structuring loans for development for that no country will ever be able to pay back for giving China ownership of those institutions, properties. The U.S. has been quietly expanding special operations missions across Africa to fight against Islamist militants. Ask Tulsi Gabbard. She'll tell you all about it. The U.S. is quick to label any Islamist group as an ISIS affiliate, but some experts have disagreed with U.S. designations. For example, the U.S. has designated the Allied Democratic Forces fighting against the government in the Congo as an ISIS affiliate. But a report from the UN group of experts on the Congo found no conclusive evidence that ISIS and the ADF were linked besides public statements. The UN report said that both ISIS and the ADF benefit from the U.S. designation since it makes the groups appear to be more powerful. The designation also helped since the U.S. since it authorized the deployment of special operations troops, as well as ground support troops, and support in general from the National Guard, which would cause you to make a TikTok video bragging about your role in destabilizing a small African country. Vote Tulsi. I am going to pull up the article that I meant to, though. Do that. Here we go. Hopping up from Africa. Well, I guess it was since CENTCOM or AFRICOM is Germany. So this was yesterday afternoon. Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz told reporters that he notified U.S. officials during meetings in Washington last week that he ordered the Israeli Defense Forces to prepare to attack Iran. The order he gave was to prepare for the Iranian challenge, the operational level, Gantz said on the sidelines of the conference in Miami, Florida. It was held Friday.
Sorry.
Man, they even hold their military conferences in Miami.
Yes.
That is a bad joke. It's a bad joke, but a joke. It's a joke. Senior Israeli military source told the Times of Israel that Gantz might have presented a timeline to Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin when an Israeli attack could take place. The Israelis have been pushing hard for the Biden administration to abandon indirect negotiations with Iran to revive the nuclear deal that are going on in Vienna. Gantz and other officials want the U.S. to expand sanctions and prepare military operations, and it appears that the Americans are listening. Golly, what a surprise. Last week, amid negotiations, the U.S. slapped new sanctions on Iran. Senior U.S. delegation is headed to the UAE this week to work on tightening existing sanctions. Whole working groups of people looking for new and creative ways to effectively commit war crimes.
Yay.
Woohoo. The White House said last week that President Biden had ordered his administration to prepare for other options. Scare quotes. If diplomacy with Iran fails, the president has asked his team to be prepared in the event that diplomacy fails, and we must turn to other options. Back in October, Biden ordered National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan to review the Pentagon's revised plan to take military action against Iran. The Times report said that Biden's turn towards potential military options was to show Iran the U.S. was running out of patience. So dumb. But by already ramping up pressure on Iran, the Biden administration has barely given diplomacy with the new Iranian government a chance. Correct. Let me pull the New York Times article there real quick, and we'll take a spin through it. Anne Rain You can skip the commercials on the Spotify app on the phone. That's all I know. I mean, there's a premium service you can buy that's commercial free, but I don't know if I would do it for that one podcast. Where did you go? There you are. Let me bring that up a little bit. So, this is just the article that the anti-war piece we just went through was referencing. I'm just kind of skimming it to see if there's any sort of... God, that's a creepy looking dude. That's the Prime Minister of Israel.
Oh, isn't that that one scary fuck from back in the day?
That's Benny Gantz, but this is Naftali Bennett.
Oh, I thought this guy was a bastard too, though.
He is 100%.
I thought he did some crazy shit.
Yeah, he did. He fucking... There was a particular...
He killed a bunch of refugees or some shit.
Yeah, there was a... I can't remember if they were Jordanian or Syrian. There was a refugee camp. Maybe there was... I can't even remember. But at any rate, like, there had already been like okay, we're pulling back. We're not going to go forward with this anymore. And he's like, no, there must be blood. Fucking
killed them all and shit.
Did. Massacred a fuck ton of people. And then was like, I'll do it again. They're like, you need to be prime minister. That's how we pick him here.
Nazi in chief, baby.
This is wild. Like, just casually in the New York Times article, some Israeli officials believe that their sabotage campaign is having strategic effects and could be one of the reasons Iranians, however, tentatively returned to Vienna. A senior Israeli official said the sabotage operations had created crippling paranoia at the top of the Iranian government. The operations, the official said, have caused Tehran to rethink whether it should accelerate their nuclear project, but even American supporters of the Israeli approach say it's akin to mowing the grass, in quotes, a necessary step, says the authors, to keep Iran in check, but not one that will ever fully halt Tehran's nuclear research. Mowing the grass.
Did they just equate like killing a bunch of brown people to fucking mowing the lawn?
That's the Israeli philosophy for Gaza and Palestine. That's what they call ethnic cleansing, is mowing the grass. And now we've got the New York Times casually alluding to fucking genocide as a necessary step.
Good times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Gross.
Right? Whew. Get rid of you and get rid of you. What are
you? Have way too many fucking tabs open, dude.
There are a lot of clips. Short. A lot of, almost all, take away all the clips and there's like 4 things.
I'm just saying, that's a lot of tabs.
Trying to do a good show. Jesus, man.
At least you grouped them.
I know. I even ordered them. I do. This is the shit I can do on YouTube, and then there's the break right there. And then
good job. I'm just giving you a hard
I'm
time.
fucking trying over
Give
here.
you a hard time.
I'm trying. You even had a full cup of coffee. I go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So this was sort of late breaking yesterday. The Senate passes a bill to empower the Capitol Police Chief to unilaterally request the assistance of the DC National Guard or DC Metro Police in emergencies without prior approval of the Capitol Police Board. Like up until I guess they signed this piece of legislation, which I will pull up here in a sec. There had to be like an authorization process. They had to jump through bureaucracy. Now, anytime the Capitol Police Chief feels like it's necessary, they can just dial up the National Guard and put a military presence in the streets of Washington, D.C. I gotta wonder if this applies to the new Capitol Police offices in New York and Los Angeles. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, the Washington, D.C. Capitol Police, a federal police force that operates under completely different rules and jurisdictions than your regular civilian police force, has branch offices. Do we have more than one capital, like location for the whole U.S. government? Are there multiple Washington, D.C.? I don't. Anyway, the Committee on Rules and Administration of the Senate, blah, 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 are authorized jointly conduct oversight hearings regarding the Capitol Police Board and may request the attendance of all members of the Capitol Police. Where'd you go? Oh, you're sideways. Are you really sideways? Neat. Where'd this one go? Here we go. The chief of the Capitol Police, if the chief of the Capitol Police has determined that the provision of assistance is necessary to prevent the significant disruption of governmental function and public order within the United States Capitol buildings and grounds as described in Section 9 of the Act, may revoke or request. Yeah, all they're saying is we can bring in the military without any oversight, without anyone stepping in to go, are you sure? All the DC Capitol Police Chief has to do is be like, yeah, seems a little out of hand. Maybe we need more tanks. That'll solve the problem.
What is that in rap magic?
Right? So back in late August, we talked about it on the show. A number of other shows covered it as they should. There was a U.S. drone strike on the tail end of the attack on the Kabul airport, which was so real and so not orchestrated that NBC sitcom had a whole episode ready to go on it right after the thing happened. I'm not kidding. Yeah. I heard Tim Dillon talk about it. There's apparently a sitcom called The United States of Al about an Afghani translator guy who who is now in the repatriated to the, and the sitcom follows the hilarity of him trying to, So, and they did a whole ass episode on the attack on the Kabul airport, and it aired like the week after it happened. Normally, they shoot these things like fucking 14 weeks in a row at the beginning of the year, and then the cast and crew is done shooting that show for the year.
Good times.
Mm-hmm.
They had to get the propaganda in there. Never waste a good opportunity.
So no one involved in a drone strike that mistakenly killed 10 civilians, including children, will be punished. New York Times reported Monday. Two top commanders, General Kenneth F. McKenzie, charge of CENTCOM, and Richard D. Clark, head of Special Operations Command, recommended none of the military personnel involved be penalized. On August 29th, days after terrorists bombed a gated airport in Kabul, killing 13 U.S. service members and many more Afghans amid evacuations, the U.S. military conducted what Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley said was a righteous strike on what was thought to be a terrorist target. A week later, the U.S. military publicly acknowledged that an investigation into the drone strike had confirmed a report from the Times. I am now convinced that as many as 10 civilians, including up to 7 children, were tragically killed, said the exact same General McMilley, who just a week before referred to the slaughter of those children as a righteous strike. Again, no people have been punished, charged, or otherwise fucked with And at this point, I think it's a very good time to remind people that currently, for the next like 42 and a half months out of a 45-month sentence, Daniel Hale is in prison for disclosing the drone program that is responsible in this era for massacring those 7 kids. It's a quote from Daniel's sentencing. Your Honor, I oppose drone warfare for the same reasons I oppose the death penalty. I believe capital punishment to be an abomination and an all-out assault on common human decency. I believe that it is wrong to kill no matter the circumstances, yet I believe it is especially wrong to kill the defenseless. And in spite of what the Supreme Court has ruled, I believe there is simply no way in which a person can be killed that is not cruel and unusual. If anyone here is still not convinced of this, then they must ask themselves if they believe that the 4% of death row inmates exonerated after the fact is an acceptable price to pay. I don't. No person should have to die for a crime that they did not commit, just as no person should have to live with the burden of having taken a poor, defenseless, innocent life. Not a soldier carrying out his duties, nor a judge theirs. If you guys are able, I'm gonna grab the link for that and drop it in the chats. This is the Daniel Hale Support Fund. And you can also go to I think it's Daniel Hale Support Team. Or no, standwithdanielhale.org to figure out how to write to him, write to Commander X, go to freecommanderx_.com. Moving along. Oh, that's right. You guys are familiar enough with the show to know that when you watch it, you get your news 6 months, 12 months, 2 years early, and then every once in a while we kind of come back to it to be like, well, we did say it was going to happen. The difference between conspiracy theory, conspiracy fact, being about 6 to 12 months. South Korea is going to test AI-powered facial recognition to track COVID-19 cases. Yeah, I'm doing the story on YouTube, but it's about facial rec. YouTube. It's about technology, not the Rona. South Korea will soon roll out a pilot project to use AI facial rec in thousands of closed-circuit television cameras to track the movement of people infected with the coronavirus, despite concerns about the invasion of privacy. The nationally funded project in Bucheon, I'm sorry if I'm fucking that up, one of the country's most densely populated cities on the outskirts of Seoul, is due to become operational in January. The system uses an AI algorithms and facial rec technology to analyze footage gathered by more than 10,820 CCTV cameras and track an infected person's movement, anyone they had close contact with, and whether they were wearing a mask, according to a 110-page business plan from the city submitted to the Ministry of Science and ICT, Information and Communications Technology, and provided to Reuters by a parliamentary lawmaker critical of the project. Governments around the world have turned to new technologies and expanded legal powers to try to stem the tide of COVID-19 infections, because if there's anything that will slow down an organic virus, it is whacking it with silicone or legislating, passing laws. Viruses, well known to be very, very, very fastidious observers of any and every law. That's just science. South Korea already has an aggressive high-tech contact tracing system that harvests credit card records, cell phone location data, and CCTV footage, among other personal information. It still relies, however, on a large number of epidemiological investigators who often have to work 24-hour shifts frantically tracing and contacting potential coronavirus. Okay, look at the giant economy they can build up around this shit, all in the name of like better spying.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Right? At least there's like a couple of people in South Korea that are, hey, the government's plan to become a big brother on the pretext of COVID is a neo-totalitarian idea. Park Dae-chul, a lawmaker from the main opposition People Power Party. All right. They're just, it's the same amount of creativity all over the planet.
Yes.
I want to take a long hit too. I'm going to pull up the clip.
Do what you got to do.
This is exactly how it works on them TVs. Stop you. So this is something that we talked about a little bit over the weekend, but I wasn't able to play the clip. The the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature was handed out on the same day that Julian Assange was the extradition order was approved. It also happened to be Human Rights Day, because who doesn't love a good joke? And again, there were co-recipients for the Nobel Prize for Journalism. One of them, a woman from the Philippines, who spent the majority of her speech running narrative management, found some time to throw Julian Assange, at that moment, basically, was finding out that the United States empire was going to be able to drag him to their shores for 175 years. Well, she decided that was a good time to do this. Again, Nobel Peace Prize for journalism.
Fantastic.
Julian Assange's arrest. Do you think that that's good or bad for journalists?
I have a different view.
I mean, they give that shit to workers.
The wholesale dumping of WikiLeaks actually isn't journalism.
Why not?
A journalist sifts through, decides, and knows when something is of value to national security and withholds until you can verify that it isn't. That people who should not be put in harm's way by that information are protected.
I'm gonna start this over, and we're gonna go through everything that this Nobel Prize winning journalist is saying that is an outright fucking lie, woefully uninformed, or manipulatively deceptive. And that was only 30 seconds, man. She got a lot in there. Let's see if I can hear it any better in this ear.
Julian Assange's arrest. Do you think that that's good or bad for journalists?
Explain.
I have a different view because I think that the wholesale dumping of WikiLeaks.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, bitch, because that didn't happen. We know it didn't happen. We know it didn't happen to the point to where a phone call with Jen Robinson and Julian Assange and a monkey from the State Department got released. We know that back in 2010, Julian Assange worked his ass off by himself to redact names from the Iraq war logs and from Cablegate. We know for a fact that nobody would have access to the full unredacted Cablegate files if it wasn't for one of this woman's more establishment colleagues in Luke Harding and David Lee in their bullshit hit piece book, where they published the second part of the fucking passphrase in order to get all of Cablegate. This dumb cunt may know or may not know that both Pirate Bay and Cryptome have still to this day all of the unredacted Cablegate files up on their websites without so much as a cease and desist letter from the U.S. government. Maybe she knows that, maybe she doesn't. I'm not sure. We're 11 seconds in.
Actually isn't journalism.
It's not journalism. Going and getting information that is in the public interest that has never been printed, that gives each and every living human being vastly more information about how their world operates, at what levels in which the mechanisms of power move, and what the civilian cost is, what the human cost is. That, go fuck yourself. We're 15
journalist sifts through, decides, and knows when something is of value to national security, and
which is what he did, bitch. Where were you?
Withholds until you can verify that it isn't. That people who should not be put in harm's way by that information are protected.
In Chelsea Manning's court-martial, the U.S. military admitted on record that no one had been put in harm's way as a result of WikiLeaks releases. They have been through this with multiple lawsuits over 15 years. And if me, fucking like random dude with a camera and a microphone and access to the internet, knows this, and you, an award-winning journalist, do not, says a lot about what the institutions that are cranking out acceptable journalists are teaching them.
So I think that this is just more evidence of how technology has changed the rules and how we're caught in the middle. We're all still trying to use rules of the past to define new situations. And I think one of the things we have to do with technology, with social media in particular, is to grab exactly where we are and create new rules.
Yeah. That's what helps the free flow of information and people's ability to understand more rules. I have already used a number of degrading words to describe this piece of shit, so I'm going to stop. Oh, that's right. While we're on Julian Assange, his half brother Gabriel Shipton, a very lovely human being, a very nice guy. Someone I got to meet and spend some time with, get to know a little bit over the summer. Was in New York City. There was, where did my fucking crack drink go? A rally in support for Julian Assange. Oh, are we gonna play that clip?
What one?
From the rally yesterday.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We're gonna take the high road.
Okay. Let it be known that at 8:33 a.m. on December 14th, 2021, we did take the high road. We had the opportunity to not, and we did. And we're doing that on a lot of levels, surprisingly, because there's some fucking people. Anyway, a wonderful human being, Gabriel Shipton, went on the old tuk-tuk the other night. And look, before I get into this, man, look, I am so fucking done with high road. I'm so fucking done with the nonprofit groups that are anti-establishment, that take a lot of money from poor people and a lot of time and energy and other resources from poor people, that all have decent funding, enough funding to carry the organization from, when you finally track it back down, like the individual billionaire donors that they claim to be fighting, the intelligence agency cutout groups, as far as the NGOs that they claim to be butting heads with or working against. All of these people are pro mandate, lockdown, forced relocation, total reorganization of society, pro-censorship, all of them, and it's down to the funding. That's what's driving their opinion. Yes, this is a mass formation event. Yes, people are suffering from mass psychosis. That's part of it. So scared that they're going to lose the job that they have fighting the machine, that they have lockstep joined forces with the machine in order to preserve their gig. And I fucking can't stand it. And these people are goddamn cowards because they knew a year ago or more that this was bullshit. And they went ahead with it anyway. Let me pull this up. Oh, let me make sure that I
don't think you shared it.
I didn't. Audio. At any rate.
Good old fucker.
So you probably heard the name Julian Assange, and you probably gathered from all the shouting about Julian Assange from our political class that he's some sort of international spy who hacked our computers and stole our secrets. But that's not all what Julian Assange is or has ever been. He didn't hack anybody's computers. He's a journalist. He reprinted facts that were deeply embarrassing to our political class, the Democratic National Committee, and to, above all, the foreign policy establishment, which has an awful lot to be embarrassed of. And for doing that, the New York Times has done things like that for 100 years, no problem. Julian Assange does it? Well, he's been incarcerated. Julian Assange, and why is no one defending him? Gabriel Shipton is Julian Assange's brother. He joins us tonight. Ms. Shipton, thanks so much for coming on. And by the way, when I say no one's defending him, of course, many people are defending Julian Assange. But I mean, no one at the higher reaches of American journalism, for example. They are silent on this. Why do you think that is?
And before Gabe answers, if you're going to sit in an office building in and around the Beltway, and you're going to moralize to people for a living, your job is to make people feel less superior, make people feel, morally inferior because of whatever reason. But you go after people who go on major networks to talk about Julian Assange because of what network it is. Like, that's just disingenuous and bullshit. Like, it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. Whatever used to be, the people who thought like they were the real left, I swear to God, these people are going to be screaming, but they're not the real left, like as they're getting shoved into the cattle cars or the military transports. They're going to be trying to argue their way out of this shit.
Well, I think, Tucker, they've been able to ignore this case for a while. It's been at arm's length in the UK. But just last Friday, the UK High Court ruled that Julian could be extradited. They approved the extradition to the USA. So the case is now coming here. Julian has a chance to appeal, but it was the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice of the UK is the highest judge in England and Wales who ordered the extradition. So it's very unlikely that the appeal will go ahead. So I think that people here can the media, the government can no longer ignore that this case is coming. Eric's
all pissed off. So weird.
Oh yeah, no, I do. I love the random screenshots of people we know though. That's probably long enough for interest of fair use. Criminalization
of it's basically a Biden administration. The Biden administration has criminalized telling the truth with this indictment, and it's even worse than that. Actually, they've criminalized knowing about classified information. And so now it's coming to this country. The extradition has been ordered by the High Court. I don't think people here can any longer ignore it.
You got to ask yourself, though, and I don't think you live in the United States, but we're in the middle of a crime wave in which many thousands of people have been killed over and above last year's numbers, in which many thousands more have died of drug overdoses from drugs that are coming. So we have a lot of crime problems in the United States right now, but the Biden administration is very focused on getting its hands on your brother. Why is getting your brother more important than bringing, say, murderers to justice?
Well, I think the people, people who...
That's some ham-fisted shit, boy, but oh wow. I mean, that's why this sensationalist bullshit lands with people. That was not subtle. We're in a massive crime wave. People are dying left and right here. Gabriel, I don't know if you've been outside lately, but there's blood in the streets. Why does Joe Biden want your brother instead of all these dangerous murderers?
Yeah, that's pretty ham-fisted. Tough but fair.
Hey man, that's
no, we just don't care about those.
Yeah, we just don't care. There are other people on the MCSC network that are like lining up to do those shows. And if you want to hear some serious shit talk, or you want to watch Franco debate that fucking fat CIA piece of shit cutout, okay. Word, it's gonna happen. It is. There'll be a lot of that. I would rather slam my cock in a fucking car trunk, dude. Fuck that. Back to this.
Who run our democracies now would like to rule them, with impunity. They don't want people to know what's being done in their name. They want to keep secrets. They don't want the public to be informed, basically. I think that's why. And they're creating Julian, they're making an example out of Julian. They're saying to people, if you tell the truth about our secrets, if you tell the truth about the security state or anything really, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to be locked in a prison for the rest of your life. Your reputation will be destroyed. You'll be taken away from your family.
I have to ask you a final question, which is a depressing question, but I have to ask, if your brother is extradited to the United States, do you think he'll survive?
Look, no, I don't. I mean, we can look, prisoners here can't be kept safe. Even the most high-profile prisoners, like Jeffrey Epstein, he couldn't be kept safe in prison. So what hope will Julian have here? I think, if he gets extradited, he will most likely die.
You make this sound like Bolivia, which makes me ashamed. But
wow, I've been muted for a minute. Sorry about that. The only thing, Daniel, that I will say about the Hassan Piker thing is that we in his tweet about getting kicked off of Twitch, there's somebody that popped up in there. It was like, motherfucker, you got beat by a snack. And that's just good shit. It is. So I did want to play this because it really does underscore the top of that segment. Tucker was talking about media silence on this. And if anybody's curious Like, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of reasons as to why major media figures don't like Julian Assange personally, because he did revolutionize journalism. What WikiLeaks is conceptual. It's called scientific journalism. Like, they're taking the hard data, collating it, and giving it to you, so that you, without the
media spin
guidance, without a $30,000 a day Sherpa to tell you how to think and feel about it. So that pissed him off. But back in the day, Julian was delivering a speech that anybody in the corporate news who saw it and had been running fucking the whole way with all of the lies around Iraq and Afghanistan, they got pissed about this. They did. Make sure that I actually shared the audio for that, because I'm not 100%. There we go.
Democracies, or the pseudo-democracies that we are evolving into. Wars are a result of lies. The Vietnam War and the push for US involvement was a result of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. A lie. The Iraq War famously is a result of lies. Wars in Somalia are a result of lies. The Second World War and the German invasion of Poland was a result of carefully constructed lies. That is war by media. Let us ask ourselves, of the complicit media, which is the majority of the mainstream press, what is the average death count attributed to each journalist? When we understand that wars come about as a result of lies peddled to the British public and the American public and the publics all over Europe and other countries, then who are the war criminals? It is not just leaders, it is not just soldiers, it is journalists. Journalists are war criminals. And why one might think that that should lead us to a state of despair, that the reality that is constructed around us is constructed by liars, is constructed by people who are close to those that they are meant to be policing. It should lead us also to an optimistic understanding, because if wars can be started by lies, truth can be started, peace can be started by truth.
That's why. That's 100% why. Man, we have been missing that dude. We got one last quick story. Just because we're going to be hearing a lot about it moving forward. We're in a currency free fall. We are. Money's not worth a fucking thing, and everything is ridiculously expensive. And the media is totally underreporting it. Was that a zero hedge via Peter Schiff? Up a little bit. The consumer price index data for November came in pretty close to expectations. Of course, expectations were sky high as the transitory inflation narrative has faded into myth. CPI surged another 0.8% in November. So here's what we have government and business leaders coming out talking about like increased consumer confidence and spending and shit like that. Meanwhile, absolutely none of the people in the corporate press are incorporating the massive inflation that we've been under. We've talked about it on the show before. I showed you a graph that put us at like right at 1980s levels when we were at, just on the heels of the Carter administration, when we had ridiculously like about 20 some percent high inflation. And the media has been quick to point out that 20%, those incredibly high numbers, to say, no. It's nothing like it used to be because it's different now. Peter Schiff has a different take on it. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but what he's essentially saying is that because the dollar isn't fucking worth anything, we're coming in like right around 15% using the numbers and metrics that they would have used in the day. That's bad, y'all. That is not good.
Isn't that hyperinflation?
It is hyperinflation. It's exactly what it is.
What are you little turds doing?
Oh, damn. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Rockfin link into the chat now. You are going to want to hang out for that. It's a very clip-heavy portion. We're going to go through some of the finer points of what Dr. Peter McCullough dropped on the Joe Rogan show yesterday, and I'll also talk a little bit about what he told us on Union of the Unwanted. That episode is available currently for Rockfin Premium members. It will be available to everyone either today or tomorrow. I can't remember when they drop those everywhere. If you're watching us over on the YouTubes, thank you, but you don't have to. You really don't. It's basically a fucking dead channel, man. They roll back our view counts like crazy. They suppress it. They unsubscribe people every single day. Definitely encourage you to watch us on platforms that do not suppress free speech. We are on Odyssey. We are on Rockfin. We are on DLive. We do the show through Twitch and Twitter as well. Gonna get into some more of the other alternative platforms. Link to the Rockfin is in the chat. You do not need a Rockfin account to watch the live stream. Just click the link. If you want to fuck around in the chat, you can make a free Rockfin account. If you love what we do and you want to support the show, it's $9.99 a month, and you get all of the paywalled content on the platform. Thank you, YouTube land.